Good evening, everyone. It's a packed house here, probably the biggest meeting of the year so far, or maybe in a calendar year. Welcome to the Tempe City Council regular council meeting agenda. Item number 1 is call to order. Council meetings can be watched in real time via Cox Cable Channel 11 and at tempe.gov/tempe11. Members of the public may also attend the meeting virtually through Microsoft Teams. If you have signed up to speak on items later on in the agenda, please know that as presiding officer, I have the discretion to introduce items out of their regular order as listed on this agenda. I may change the order of items from time to time to accommodate scheduling, to allow us to address items with a large number of speaker cards, so those wishing to speak on those items don't have to wait until later in the meeting, or to otherwise expedite the business of the meeting. If you wish to speak on an agenda item and you haven't filled out a speaker card yet, please make sure to fill out and submit your completed card to the city clerk prior to the item coming forward for council discussion. I will call your name when it's your turn for public comment. I also want to make a very quick note as well. Councilmember Keating is unable to join us. He is actually recovering from a second surgery on his arm, so we obviously wish him a very speedy recovery. And next up, item number 2, moment of silence. I'd like to now invite everyone who's able and willing to join me in standing for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's agenda has a number of items that the City Council must consider in order to conduct city business. Guidelines for conduct of City Council meetings are on the table near the entrance for those in attendance at tonight's meeting. We will now play a video with the proper protocol for ensuring the appropriate conduct at City Council meetings.
The City of Tempe welcomes public comment at this time. Disruptive behavior will not be allowed. Continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. We need to be able to hear everyone in the room. Behavior that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of any city council meeting is not helpful and is not permitted. This includes behavior both inside and outside of the council chambers. Should individuals inside the council chambers become disruptive so that city business is not able to be conducted, the mayor will first ask that the individuals allow city business to be completed. There will be time for public comment during the call to the audience portion of the meeting. If no cooperation, the mayor will issue a verbal warning and let them know that the continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. If there is still no cooperation, issue a second verbal warning and let them know that the continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. If there is no cooperation after asking and 2 verbal warnings, then the mayor will ask security officers to remove only those individuals who are causing the disruption. Security personnel should not engage in any way, but only escort them from the council chambers. If individuals refuse to leave, security personnel shall warn them that they are trespassing and that the next step will be arrest by a Tempe police officer. Tempe officers may have to arrest if individuals refuse to leave. Charges for trespass and disorderly conduct may apply, as well as other charges. Should anyone be asked to be removed, the mayor will recess the meeting.
Thank you. We'll now play a video conveying the City of Tempe's Native Land Acknowledgement Statement.
We wish to acknowledge that Tempe is the homeland of the Native people who have inhabited this landscape since time immemorial. These ancestral lands of the O'odham, known as Pima, Peeposh, known as the Maricopa, and their ancestors extend far beyond our city. This land continues to be spiritually connected to the O'odham of the Salt River Pima, Maricopa Indian Community, and Gila River Indian Community. We accept the responsibility of stewarding those places and solemnly pledge to consider this commitment in every action.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to item number 4, meeting minutes. Tonight I'll be assisted by Councilmember Adams. Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve City Council meeting minutes, items 4A1 through 4A2.
It's been moved by Councilmember Adams and seconded by Councilmember Hodge. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. Next up, item 4B, acceptance of board, commission, and committee meeting minutes. Councilmember Adams.
Thank you. I move to accept the board's, commission, and committee meeting minutes in items 4B1 through 4B4.
It's been moved by Councilmember Adams. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Amberg. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. Next up, I have a number of announcements that I'm going to gather up here and come on down to the front. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Item number 5A1 are our Kid Zone Mayor's Awards presentations. As we all know, the Mayor's Office and the entire City Council are interested in honoring outstanding children in our community and the adults who help provide quality care and education for those children. Tonight, we are proud to honor and recognize those children and adults because of their outstanding participation in the Kid Zone enrichment programs, serving 17 elementary and middle schools in the Tempe Elementary School District. So to help me with this presentation, I'd like to now bring down the superintendent for the Tempe Elementary School District, Dr. James Driscoll. Kid Zone is an award-winning, state-accredited school-age enrichment program administered by the City of Tempe in cooperation with the Tempe Elementary School District. It offers an exciting, safe place for students from preschool through 8th grade, where they may interact with their friends while they participate in enrichment activities and develop new interests after school. Kid Zone could not have provided these services without the help and support of some outstanding school partners from the Tempe Elementary School District. While there are too many to mention this evening, there are 3 that we'd like to particularly recognize. The dedicated school partners we honor tonight are individuals who demonstrate cooperation, mutual respect, and knowledge of the importance of quality out of enrichment. They understand that significant learning still takes place before and after the school bell rings. Their support exemplifies how cooperation between the school district can work at the highest level to make exceptional programming available to students at each school. So please come down this evening when I announce your name. First of all, special education teacher from Aguilar Elementary School, Kelly Belusic. All right, so sadly, 2 of our award winners could not be here tonight, but I still want to make sure that we announce their names and recognize them this evening. So the lead custodian at Broadmoor Elementary School, Ray Leos. As well as a physical education teacher from Spercali Elementary School, Stephanie DiPiazza. Let's give a big round of applause for these outstanding school staff who make a difference to our children after school. Next up, we have 17 students that we're recognizing this evening that represent over 1,300 youth that are enrolled in Kid Zone over just this past year. They were selected by the Kid Zone staff from each school because of the following criteria: their kind and respectful attitude towards other children and staff, their initiative and enthusiastic positive participation, and their display of cooperation, good sportsmanship, responsibility, and leadership. So as we read the students' names, which is actually going to be done this evening by Dr. Driscoll, because normally I'm the one up here that's doing all the talking, but I'm glad to have him now partner. Maybe we can actually do this more often. You can come down and help me out. So, but I want to let, after Dr. Driscoll reads those names, we're going to ask that people come up and get their certificates. And we also ask that you remain standing until all of the students have received their awards. And I also ask that you hold your applause. Now, I'm going to say this too. I always ask that we hold all the applause until all the students get their awards, but we know full well it's not really going to happen. Your kids are going to get the awards, you're going to clap, it's all good, you will not be chastised. So, with that said, you've heard enough from me. I'm going to hand this over to Dr. Driscoll to read the names this evening.
Well, good evening, and if I mess up your name, I will come to your school and personally apologize. So the first student I have is Kamari Carter from Wood Elementary. Mariana Ruiz de Luna from Scales Elementary. Evelyn Enriquez from Aguilar. And Buck Fuller from Broadmoor. All right. Alexander Herman Pineda from Ward Elementary. Anaya Gray from Connolly. Darren Hanna from Arredondo. And Alexandria Lamb could not be here today from Spercali. Next up, I have Abigail McClurg from Fuller. Alexandra Juarez Almas from Carminati. Ian Pickett from Fees. And Francis Placido from Meyer. Next up, I have Samuel Ripley from Curry. Eric Sanchez from Rover. Solomon Tate from Getz. And Rosalind Whitfield from McCamey. And Khaleesi Woodson from Holdeman.
And actually, Dr. Driscoll, before you go, I've got something for you. No, I know those are always words you don't like to hear when you're a superintendent, city manager, mayor, council member. But I promise this is actually good. This is actually a proclamation in honor and celebration of Tempe Elementary's 150th anniversary. And this proclamation reads, whereas the Tempe Elementary School District has educated generations of families from Tempe, Guadalupe, Phoenix, and beyond the district boundaries for more than 150 years. And whereas Arizona's Board of Supervisors established Tempe School District number 3 in 1874 as the third school district in Maricopa County with a total district enrollment of just 43 children. The district's first classes took place in one-room adobe buildings. And whereas by 1970, Tempe had grown to more than 63,000 residents. When schools opened back in 1975, the district enrollment reached its all-time peak of 13,540 students. And whereas Tempe Elementary Schools continue to build a new way forward in modern elementary education, serving preschool through 8th grade students in 22 schools, shaping and defining the future-ready Tempe Elementary student, freeing the boundless potential in each child. Now, therefore, I, Corey Woods, Mayor of the City of Tempe, Arizona, do hereby declare April 5th through the 12th, 2025, as Tempe Elementary Schools Week in Tempe, Arizona. All right, next up here, we have National Telecommunicator Week Proclamation. And let's see, who do I have here? Do I have Kathy and Daniel here this evening? Or do I have the whole staff stood up? I loved it. Let's see here. Who's coming on down? Assistant Chief Sorensen, how are you, sir? Good to see you. All right, I've got a couple of copies of this one, so I'm going to give one copy over here to our Assistant Chief. And I'm going to read the other one. So this proclamation reads, whereas the public safety dispatch professionals of the City of Tempe Police Department Communication Center provide life-saving services vital to the people in our community, working in partnership with all city departments, including Tempe Fire, Medical Rescue, Care 7, Homeless Outreach, Transportation, and our neighboring jurisdictions. And whereas 911 call takers provide over-the-phone support and emergency instructions that save lives every day on every shift, handling over 139,127 calls for service and more than 345,000 telephone calls in 2024, all while performing heroically despite ongoing staffing impacts. And whereas police dispatchers serve as a critical link between those experiencing an emergency and the responding emergency crews, ensuring that the commensurate personnel and resources are dispatched to the call. And whereas police communications personnel are our community's first responders, going above and beyond the call of duty on a daily basis in situations of great stress and suffering to facilitate resolution of emergency situations, including deaths, drownings, fires, and other emergency calls for assistance. And whereas the health and safety of the Tempe community and its residents depend greatly on these services and the dedicated professionals who provide them. Now, therefore, I, Corey Woods, Mayor of the City of Tempe, Arizona, do hereby declare April 13th through the 19th, 2025, as Public Safety Telecommunicator Week in Tempe, Arizona. All right, next up here, item 5A4, our Arbor Month proclamation. And let's see here, looking here for Richard Atkins, Craig Hayden, and Alex Jovanovich. Oh, you coming? Oh, Eric, you coming too? And is Brianne here? And Shelly, come on down. All right. All right, so this proclamation reads, whereas 2025 marks the 153rd anniversary of Arbor Day, which is celebrated around the world. And whereas April is set aside each year in Tempe to celebrate Arbor Day and encourage citizens to recognize the importance of trees. And whereas during the month, city staff engages with business partners, local organizations, and residents to appreciate and plant trees. And drought-tolerant, non-native trees can cool our communities, making us more resilient to extreme heat while enhancing the beauty of Tempe, offering shelter to wildlife, and providing numerous environmental, economic, and societal health benefits for our community. And whereas Tempe residents value the significance of trees in our community by establishing the Treasured Trees of Tempe program, showcasing the deep-rooted connections, I know I picked that up, between our city and trees, and celebrating our city commitment to a healthier environment for future generations. And whereas Tempe City Council recognizes the importance of trees and supports the investment in Tempe's sustainable urban forest and green space programs. Now, therefore, I, Corey Woods, Mayor of the City of Tempe, Arizona, do hereby declare April 2025 as Arbor Month in Tempe, Arizona. All right, that brings me to item 5A5, Sexual Assault Awareness Month Proclamation. And we have Tim Birch here and any members of the Community Health and Human Services team. And Police Department. We got the whole crew here tonight. I love this. All right, so this proclamation reads, I'm going to slide out of the way here just to make sure I can accommodate all the folks coming up here. Whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month raises critical awareness about the impact that sexual violence has on children, youth, adults, and families in our community, and spotlights the wide range of resources available through Tempe's Community Health and Human Services Department and Tempe's Police Department. And whereas sexual violence refers to any kind of unwanted sexual contact in which a person did not consent. Consent cannot be given if a person is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, asleep, unconscious, or otherwise incapacitated or underage. And whereas every 68 seconds, someone is sexually assaulted in the United States, and for every 9 seconds that pass, that person is a child, according to the U.S. Department of Justice. And whereas the City of Tempe Family Advocacy Center brings together the expertise, dedication, and compassion of our Care 7 victim advocates and Tempe Police Department to offer free resources and support, and includes an important partnership with Arizona State University and the support of our Family Justice Commission. And whereas the city's Care 7 Victim Services team served 362 individuals and families who reported sexual violence, including child sexual violence, just last year. And whereas the recognition of Sexual Assault Awareness Month shows support for all individuals and their families, regardless of socioeconomic status, gender, sexual orientation, or ethnicity. And whereas the City of Tempe urges all Arizonans to work toward ending sexual violence by supporting healthier relationships, connecting victims to information and resources, promoting effective intervention and prevention, and reaching out for help. Now, therefore, I, Corey Woods, Mayor of the City of Tempe, Arizona, do hereby declare April 2025 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Tempe, Arizona. All right. For item number 5A6, I'd like to invite the entire city council to come down here with me, and I think Councilmember Amberg has something she's bringing down. Also want to make sure that I can call up Craig Hayden and Alex Jovanovich and any members of the Kiwanis Club of Tempe, if they could also join us up front here as well. Yeah. Dr. Aldrich asked me if she could talk. I would never tell Dr. Aldrich that she's not allowed to talk. For the record, I know better. Let me just say this before I hand the mic off to her. So the Kiwanis Club of Tempe, chartered in 1952 as a Kiwanis International affiliate, the Kiwanis Club of Tempe is dedicated to serving the youth of our community. They are donating $28,463 for the purchase and, yes, for the purchase and installation of inclusive playground equipment, including a Weesaw, Rhapsody Meta Vivo Metallophone, Friendship Swing, and a molded swing seat for the Kiwanis North Playground Improvement Project. In front of me here, you've got members of the City Council, members of our city staff, and of course, the illustrious members of the Kiwanis Club of Tempe, where I've been a member myself since 2005, so celebrating my 20th year now with KCOT. But I'd like to turn this microphone now over to Dr. Judy Aldrich, who has some words.
Thank you. I'd like to say that we're here to give money. We are not asking for any money. And let's have that be noted. You got it? Got it. The Kiwanis Club of Tempe has had the 4th of July celebration for 75 years. And we did it because we earned money to give to kids' organizations. And we really picked 4 or 5 and gave them substantial amounts of money. Generally, there was a little left over. Not much, but a little. So we just threw it in a fund, and we called it the Legacy Fund. The Kiwanis Club of Tempe years ago gave the city the seed money for Kiwanis Park. So Kiwanis Park is very dear to our hearts. And when we learned that several years ago that the north section of Kiwanis Park was going to be done, we asked if we could donate something. So what we did was talk with the staff, with various members to see what would be the best. I have to give a special shout out to Kara Kaminsky because she worked with us through thick and thin and gave us all the information we needed. So on behalf of Laura Taylor, our president, the board of directors, and the members of the Kiwanis Club of Tempe, I would like to present, and we do have a real check, a check for $28,000 plus for adaptive equipment for a playground so all kids can play. Thank you.
All right, let's see if we can find a way to all squeeze in here for this photo. All right, let's see here. For the record here, where is Lisette Camacho? I'm walking over. You know what she said? I don't know if you all heard what she said. She looked at me and she said, "Mayor, I need that check." They do not trust politicians with any kind of money. Ladies and gentlemen, our Deputy City Manager, CFO, Lisette Camacho, everyone. And just one other quick announcement under item 5A7 is the East Valley Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. The City of Tempe is proud to host the East Valley Mayor's Prayer Breakfast on April 30th at 7 a.m. at Mountain America Stadium. This year's theme is, let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. We are honored to have the ASU Gospel Choir performing and have the Most Reverend John Dolan, Bishop of Phoenix, as a guest speaker, as well as members of the Tempe Mayor's Youth Advisory Commission in attendance. So please visit evmpb.org. Once again, evmpb for East Valley Mayor's Prayer Breakfast.org to buy tickets and also to find out very important details. With that said, I am now done. I'm going to turn this over here to item 5B, City Manager's Reports and Announcements. Madam City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No announcements this evening.
Right here, I'm going to quickly get myself together back up here. All right. It's important to never lose your place in this agenda. That brings me to item number 6, public appearances. According to the Arizona Open Meeting Law, the City Council may only discuss, respond to, or take action on matters listed elsewhere on this agenda for discussion and legal action. The purpose of the open call to the public is to allow individuals to address the City Council on any issue within the jurisdiction of the City Council. No person shall speak more than once, and there is a limit of 3 minutes per speaker. In the interest of allowing all members of the public to have an opportunity to speak, in the case that there is such a large number of persons intending to speak during the meeting that it may deprive other members of the public from the reasonable opportunity to speak, the speaker to less than 3 minutes. Speakers present at the podium must state their name and city of residence and provide a speaker card. Members of the public shall refrain from making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks and from becoming boisterous while addressing the City Council or while attending the meeting. Speakers will be taken first come, first serve in the order in which the cards are received. Speakers' visual aids and appearances by phone or recordings are not allowed. The City Council is prohibited by state law from discussing, responding to, or taking action on matters raised during the call to the public, even if asked to do so by a member of the public, so long as the subject discussed by the speaker is not listed as a specific agenda item for Council's consideration for discussion and legal action. Individual members of the City Council may respond to criticism made by speakers, ask staff to review a matter, or request a matter be placed on a future agenda. That brings me to my public appearances here. Once again, I will read these in the order in which they were received. First up here, Mary Ann Dillon. Please come forward, state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Mary Ann Dillon, and I live in Tempe proudly. So, Mayor Woods, Vice Mayor Garland, Council Members Adams, Alberg, Chen, Hodge, and sorry that Keating cannot be with us tonight. I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak in opposition to the possible rezoning of Shalimar Golf Course. I will be reading a lot of what I've written, but it doesn't mean it doesn't come from my heart. I would also like to, right at the beginning, acknowledge and thank the Neuheisels for saving our neighborhood golf course years ago. Thanks to the Save Shalimar group, which has continued to respect the Neuheisels and this process. I live in the Shalimar neighborhood and have enjoyed playing golf at Shalimar for 50 years. 2 of my daughters played at Shalimar as members of the McClintock High School girls golf team under Coach Hatton. For the past many years, I have paid my Shalimar membership and played 3 times a week, pretty much rain or shine, heat or cold, and I am an avid golfer, also a pretty terrible golfer. I am also a Tempe gardener, and I don't know if you're aware, but the name Shalimar refers to a garden. Translations in Arabic and Hindi include Garden of Bliss, abode of love, heavenly gardens. The name suggests imagery of beauty and tranquility, embodying a space where love flourishes and nature thrives, a lot like Shalimar. The city of Tempe is also like a beautiful garden. It is to be tended with love, care, and hard work, which I know is what all of you strive to do, and I thank you for that. The green space that is Shalimar benefits the whole city, not just my neighborhood, especially as climate change increases extreme heat. Once a green space like Shalimar is lost, it is lost forever. Losing this green space will contribute to our heat, reduce the urban canopy, negatively affect traffic and congestion within the area, and lower our neighborhood home values. Thank you for your time and attention, and please help us save this beautiful garden by not approving detrimental zoning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it. The next speaker I have this evening is David Rhodes. Please come forward, state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Woods. Thank you, council members, city managers, city administrators. I am David Rhodes. I live in Tempe, Arizona since I was this tall. Went to rural school in rural and southern when it used to be there before the Tempe Union High School District was built. Good deal, good story. Anyway, I am here to talk about same thing, saving Shalimar. I grew up going to Shalimar, hanging out with my friends. I didn't play golf. I skated. They had a decent parking lot at the time, so I'd skate there. But there are a lot of memories about that place, and I know that you all have a contentious decision to make. Hopefully it's not too terribly contentious. With the people that I hang out with, it's pretty much straightforward. And I understand that there's economic value and economic impacts to developing it, but once that bell is rung, you can't unring it. And it's the first suitor that came along since the Neuheisels, and kind of just to, for a moment, rest in peace, Dick Neuheisel, who we lost this week. So last week rather. I know that it's an economic decision, and I know that it's looking at the long-term plans for the city. And I really would hope that a lens is put on, what might happen, what might be the case down the road. I know just from my spouse working in real estate and other people who work in real estate, Shalimar is one of the anchors. Shalimar, the lakes, where they are leading indicators for those neighborhoods that are fairly, that are staples. They're the high-end houses in the neighborhood in North Tempe, North and Central Tempe. And where goes one, they go all. So if you start deteriorating the market value of the houses that are built there to insert how many 100 plus new units, there's concerns about that. And I'm looking at myself here, this is disconcerting. I've got, in my last minute, I would just say that rezoning is not what I would want to see happen. If the sale is going to happen, let them build them on 1 acre lots, because I think that'll maintain the value, and that's really what I'm concerned about. Maintaining the green spaces, avoiding a heat island, those are all really valid points. And ultimately, in your sound judgment, you're going to have to determine what's the best course of action for the long term for the city of Tempe. And this is one that it's going to suck for some people, and it's going to suck less for others. But thank you for your work. Thank you for letting me be here to talk to you guys today. Good to see you at work.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Appreciate it. All right, the next speaker I have is Jenna Lynn Granillo. Please come forward, state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Mayor and council, hello. My name is Jana Lynn Granillo. I live in Tempe, Arizona, in the Meyer Park neighborhood area. I am a neighborhood advocate, and so I'm going to read my statement here that I also provided on the comment card to you all. Basically, I want to say to you all and to all those people who are listening or tuning in or will tune in later to talk about preemptive legislation. This year, some at the state legislature continue to propose legislation that preempts the city and us residents on zoning, city code, to include setbacks and more, all of which may not fit our community where we live, our home. Simply stated, these housing bills dictate zoning, code, and override the voter-approved general plan. Make no mistake that these bills prevent notice, hearing, and process in place that we have now. It's important to know that the general plan can be changed now via amendment options. The difference is that it goes through a process where our voice can be heard. The legislation being proposed this session is very disturbing, including a special interest bill to remove referendum vote by the people for a specific project in Scottsdale, the Axon build. I have an ask, actually 3 asks to you all, Mayor and Council. I would ask you all, Mayor and Council, to purposely, deliberately pick up the phone and call our state legislators and to ask them to say no to these preemptive bills. I know that the League of City and Towns and your legislative liaison is doing work, but it's very meaningful if you all individually make contact and reach out. The second one is to ask legislators to include neighborhoods in their discussions. We have been left out, and I have purposely asked some sponsors of bills to include us, and they did not include us. 3, to send email blasts to the City of Tempe residents to know what's going on in very simple terms regarding preemptive bills and what that means to us, our general plan, and our voice, what that means. And I think it's wrong. So again, those are my asks. I hope people are listening. I hope they pay attention. And I hope that we defeat these bills. I'm not against starter homes. I'm not against religious institutions doing housing. What I am against is bypassing the city process, our voice, and our general plan. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for serving.
Thank you, Ms. Grideo. Appreciate it. The next speaker I have this evening is virtual. David Sokolowski.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
My name is David Sokolowski. I live in Tempe. Every time I hear Tempe is landlocked, I know the city still suffers from chronic NIMBYism. Mesa, Chandler, and Gilbert are landlocked. I think you're providing justification for the state to abolish height restrictions. I followed the advice of our city manager and talked with Scottsdale. I found out that Axon doesn't need housing because Scottsdale isn't an island and some people will live in Tempe. I think that's exactly why we needed SB 1162. The state expects Tempe to build 34,000 units, and it shouldn't take 5 to 7 years to negotiate a project. You don't have another 5 years because there are millions of people in our state that are fed up. Many people are tired of driving from Queen Creek. What's the point in local control if you can't actually live in Tempe? Tempe's housing crisis is becoming a no-win scenario by creating false expectations and double standards. It's very political and not very practical. The general plan estimated we would need 31,000 units, and we actually need 4 times more than that. The city estimates we can build 133,000 units. But if we actually follow the city's policies and the general plan, then Tempe's housing market would collapse. That's why every project needs exceptions. Some people are saying density and height belong downtown. Other people want height restrictions to protect the Hackett House and the church. We can't build housing at Shalimar, or the landfill, or Donnell Plaza. Every neighborhood has a NIMBY, and it's usually the chair. I hate denialism because in the next 5 years, the state is going to abolish local control. So none of us are going to get what we want. You can argue over the church and the Hackett House, but in 5 years, it will be out of our control. Shalimar might be the next Axon bill. And if it was up to me, I would have a density bonus for a new park. I don't follow this extremely outdated idea with only one central downtown. By modern standards, we're supposed to spread development and create 15-minute hubs. We're supposed to minimize thermal coupling, AKA urban heat, and protect view corridors. This was your plan, and now you have to follow through, even if that means building near a church or the Hackett House. Approve the projects, abolish height restrictions, cut red tape, and make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker I have this evening is Matt Mathias. Please come forward, state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Matthew Mathias. I live at Shalimar Estates in Tempe. I am here in the opposition to the rezone of the Shalimar property. I just want to state that my wife and I, we moved into Shalimar in 2020. We moved out of Mesa, and we moved specifically into Tempe because we wanted to live in a better neighborhood, a nicer community. Not to bash Mesa, but it is what it is. And so, because my wife worked in Tempe, our kids were already going to school here, and with that being said, we are happy living there. The traffic on our road, Gulf Avenue, is already higher than this old man wants to see, and if they rezone and put a bunch of high-density housing in there, I think the traffic's going to step up a little bit. And you know, it just creates a congested neighborhood and unsafe situation for, you know, families and kids. I know that it may not stay a golf course. I really don't know what the people who sell it or buy it can do with it. You know, that's not for me to depict. I just like to oppose the rezoning and touch on something that you, Corey Woods, brought up tonight, the Arbor Month proclamation, which is the institution of more green spaces and whatnot. And it is a very nice green space with a lot of wildlife and stuff. Another thing that was said was by Vice Mayor. She was talking to one of the other people that came up here and spoke earlier about home ownership. And I believe that the current buyer or proposed buyer wants to turn it all into lease housing, and that's not home ownership in my opinion. It does not create, you know, family community, and that's why we really like Shalimar as a place of residence, because there is a lot of family, a lot of history. We are new residents, and we'd like to keep it, I don't know, I guess I can't say a small town feel, but it does have a community in it, and you institute like, I don't know, 1,000+ residents there or housing there. It's going to make it a little more city. So that's all I have to say tonight, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, that's all the cards I have this evening just for public appearances. I know I've got another card for another item on the agenda later on, but does anyone else wish to speak before the council during public appearances? If so, please get my attention at this time. All right, seeing none, I will close that portion of the meeting and move on to item 7, which is our consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda will be considered as a group and will be enacted with one motion by the City Council unless an item is removed for separate consideration. Members of the public may remove public hearing items for separate consideration. Public hearing items are designated as public hearing item at the beginning of the item title. Council members may remove any item for separate consideration or to declare a conflict of interest. If a council member would like to declare a conflict at this time, the city clerk will provide the council member with a disclosure form. If you wish to speak on a public hearing item, please fill out a speaker card and submit your completed card to the city clerk prior to the agenda item coming forward for council discussion. I will call your name when it is your turn for public comment. This evening, the consent agenda is listed as miscellaneous items 7A1 through 7A3, awards of bids and contracts, items 7B1 through 7B15, and resolutions, items 7C1 through 7C10. Once again, any item designated as public hearing item can be removed by a member of the public for separate consideration. If anyone would like to have a public hearing item removed, please get my attention now. Okay, seeing none, I'll look to the council to see if there are any items that you'd like to have removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration. It's been moved by Councilmember Hodge. Do I have a second? Second. Seconded by Vice Mayor Garland. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. All right, that brings me then to our non-consent agenda, which is item number 8. All items listed on the non-consent agenda will be considered separately. Agenda items scheduled for introduction and first hearing will be heard but will not be voted upon at this meeting. Agenda items scheduled for second public hearing and final adoption will be voted upon tonight. Council members who may have a conflict of interest may abstain from voting on a matter, and the city clerk will provide the council members with a disclosure form at this time. First up, item 8A, miscellaneous items, bids, contracts, and resolutions. First item under the section is 8A1, which is to hold a public hearing for an appeal of the Historic Preservation Commission's decision to deny a request for partial demolition and building alterations to the historic First Congregational Church building, a Tempe historic property registered designated property located at 101 East 6th Street. The appellant and original applicant is Sender Associates. Also, just as a note, this is a quasi-judicial item. Just want to state for folks who are in the audience and watching this evening, the City Council sits as a quasi-judicial body when hearing appeals. In this situation, the City Council will conduct the public hearing in a similar fashion to that of an appellate court. Pre-meeting contact with the City Council on quasi-judicial matters is prohibited. Any materials or conversations concerning the item shall only be presented to the City Council at the scheduled public hearing. Tonight's public hearing is an appeal of the decision of the Historic Preservation Commission's decision to deny a request for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish the non-sanctuary portions of the First Congregational Church building located at 101 East 6th Street, and also deny a related request for a certificate of appropriateness for alterations to the First Congregational Church building. The requests were made by 101 East 6th Street LLP, which has assembled a number of parcels in the area and proposes a redevelopment to include a new 29-story mixed-use building. The proposed redevelopment seeks rezoning to a planned area development and relies on the demolition of the non-sanctuary portions of the church to move forward. At its March 12th, 2025 meeting, the HPC voted 7-1 in favor of denying both requests. The appellant, Representative Darren Sender, filed an appeal on March 17th, 2025 of the HPC's decision per Tempe City Code Section 14A-8. First up here, are there any comments from city staff or council members who'd like to hear from staff regarding the staff report? I know Ryan LeVake is available if council members have any questions. And I see Ryan coming forward. Do you want to give a little presentation as well, though?
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Ryan LeVake, Deputy Director for Community Development Planning Division. I'd like to provide you just a brief overview of the meeting that took place regarding the historic preservation item and staff's recommendation on this request. The meeting held was on March 12th, 2025. Historic Preservation Commission heard four items that were requested to the Historic Preservation Commission. Specifically, 2 of the items have been appealed before you tonight. There were decisions made by the Historic Preservation Commission. The other 2 items were recommendations, which will be forwarded on at a later time regarding the zoning matter on this case. The application was filed and heard at the hearing. We had both Historic Preservation Officer recommendations on the meeting, as well as recommendations by the community development staff that was presented at the meeting. Our Historic Preservation Officer did recommend denying the certificate of appropriateness related to the demolition permit, but did not take action or recommendation on the other appeal item before you tonight, which was regarding the appropriateness for the modifications made by the historic church. Did not feel it was appropriate to make a recommendation at that time because HPC, if they were to approve the request, then it would be appropriate to also approve the modifications made to the building design as well. The recommendation of denial was based on the demolition permit and the research done into the non-sanctuary sections of the historic church still had. There were comments made that older or same age elements of the sanctuary building, roughly between 1948 and 1953, they still retained fair good integrity and they were therefore considered appropriate to be maintained, designated, and were designed by famous architect Kemper Goodwin. Staff also presented a recommendation from the community development staff. Our recommendation was based on looking at a bigger picture aspect of this project process and where we started from back in 2017 when we were addressing a threat of demolition of the entire property site. At that time, staff obviously had concerns with this request. There was no planned development project. There was an impending sale for the property with intent to develop, but there was no plans yet for redevelopment. There were several discussions and negotiations. At the time, the demolition permit did not moved forward. Later on in the year, the development team was represented by Darren Sender in the 2020 year, and they came back with another plan to prepare and propose a new development. There was another demolition permit that was filed at that time. We had extensive conversations, communications with the developer, even negotiated a potential development agreement. The applicant did bring forward a demolition permit on November 8, 2020. That essentially, the HPC Commission denied that demolition permit request and resulted in a 6-month stay of demolition for that request. The applicant did halt on further development proposals and consideration at that time, and later developed a team and a commitment to look at revising the plans instead of just demolishing the whole site, looking, negotiating with the city on what portions of historic elements could they keep on site that they were willing to consider. The property got bigger. They had additional properties that were included in the site. The Bluefish building and the property sites known as the Tricks restaurant location, those were added to the property site. They presented development proposal for that site that would envision keeping the sanctuary portion of the site and preservation, and as well as relocation efforts of the Harry Walker House, which is a nationally registered historic property. So community development staff did recommend support of the request for the project and recommended to the commission to approve the requested items. Identifying similar efforts that we had took an approach. The historic Hayden House was a good example of a public and private partnership where we were able to preserve the former Monty's building site. Approximately 65% of that building was demolished and made way for a new office high-rise, as well as a future 15-story hotel site, which is entitled on that location. And now we have ownership and preservation of the historic Hayden House, which is actively used by our Downtown Tempe Authority. So staff recommended this request based on several considerations of preservation of the sanctuary, the most significant portion of the historic property site, a potential development agreement that would allow us to relocate the Harry Walker House. And staff would not consider this request if it were not proposing other elements to help preserve these locations, like the suggestions or recommendations of building over the public alley, which allow us, again, to preserve those historic elements of the property site. So the appeal was filed, the decision was made, 7-1 vote, with one in opposition. We did note that one Historic Preservation Commission member did note that they were all voted on together, but if they were voted on separately, that they would have probably voted on some of the other elements, but it was voted at one time. If the City Council has any questions regarding staff, we also have our Historic Preservation Officer here available for any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you for the presentation, Ryan. Anyone from council have any questions for Ryan at this time? Yes, Councilmember Amberg?
Mayor Woods, Ryan, I just want to make sure that we're clear. The original proposal when they came was to demolish the entire site. So they were going to demolish the Harry Walker House and they were going to demolish the sanctuary building, correct?
That's correct, actually a number of times, in 2017 and in 2020.
So the revised plan that went to the Historic Preservation Committee included allowing the sanctuary building to remain intact, just the main building, and to move the Harry Walker House, but to keep the house intact.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from council, any comments or questions for Ryan? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Ryan, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, next up in this process, I would like to see if the appellant, Darren Sender, would you like to make a statement this evening?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Darren Sender, Sender Associates, 464 South Farmer in Tempe. We are here to respectfully appeal the decision of the Historic Preservation Commission. And I think Ryan made some really good points. You know, we've been working with the city for 6-7 years now on the property, and absolutely the original development plan had called for the full demolition of the site. It was a smaller site. I can get into that in a minute, but it was a smaller site. And then another piece was added, and then a joint venture partner was added to the project. So we have Doug Tishner here tonight from CORE, and Sam Gordon from Wexford is also the other joint venture partner on this project. And he and I have been working on this for a long time. So we're very excited and happy to be able to save this and to have the land available where we can. I'll get into the details a little bit. Here we go. The two portions that we're appealing tonight were the certificate of appropriateness, basically to clean up the sanctuary after the two pieces were removed. And I'll show you a drawing of that in a minute. Basically, that request says we're going to remove the two attached structures that were literally just attached. There's a stained glass window that was just built over. So once that's removed, those are kind of the outbuildings, the actual sanctuary building itself. We are committed to, through our development agreement, to replace all of that, to make it whole, to make sure the roof, structure, everything is safe, as well as the structural integrity of that building. And secondly, the request we had was the demolition and removal of those kind of outbuilding portions that aren't the sanctuary itself. And then the goals of our development project are really, obviously to develop a high-rise mixed-use multifamily project, similar to what you see in downtown, but we feel a notch up. I can't wait to show you kind of where we're at with our plans right now. We just made a few modifications to it just tonight that Ryan is going to be thrilled to hear about. We can't wait to show you that. And also to preserve that sanctuary building, that was always up on our minds. We never came into this saying, we're going to come to Tempe and just tear down this building. Initially, that was just sort of an idea. We filed the demo permit to get the process started. Then after that, we were able to acquire the House of Tricks property from Sam Gordon's relationship as a neighbor with Robin and Bob. Got to know them, found out that they would like to retire. Property was going to be sold, so that property ended up being incorporated into our site, which then allowed us to leave a large portion of our property vacant. We're not building on it, and through our development agreement, we are committed to giving that property to the city. That will be owned by the city. And then ultimately also to preserve the Harry Walker House. So many of you have been to Tricks. I've thousands and thousands of times, and you couldn't even see it. It was that little kind of building to the east that you had some events in, and they did some catering out of it. That's the Harry Walker House. It's on the national list. The sanctuary and church property is on the Tempe list, historic property list. So we are committed to, through again the development agreement, we are committed to moving the Harry Walker House to a city designated location, and timing of that is soon. That should be done around demo or demo issuance. So we're still actively looking for a site. So if you have any ideas, let us know. We're working with April and Mike on that. You are all familiar with the location. I don't think I have to go through too much of this, but I will show you. This is sort of a map of the project site. So our project site is red. The sanctuary building is at the northwest corner there. That's not part of our project. That's what will be transferred to the city. And then you can see on the south side, those are sort of the classrooms and the ancillary buildings that we will be demoing. The Bluefish office building is in the middle on the south side along 7th Street, and then the House of Tricks building there. And the Harry Walker House is over on the southeast corner there. You can kind of see it at the House of Tricks. This is a little bit better view, almost from City Hall. Kind of you're standing on top of City Hall maybe with a telephoto lens. You can see the parking lot, the Bluefish building, the House of Tricks, directly adjacent to our neighbors at the mosque, the ICC, who we've also been talking to quite extensively over several months. This is a footprint of the building, pulling it back off the sanctuary, and then having kind of the main towers in that kind of I shape. General plan for this area for the entire downtown is mixed-use urban core. So the project that we're proposing is highly compatible with what's being developed downtown. So the original development site was really just the property owned by the church. The church itself, the congregation, their numbers were dwindling. They really didn't have a lot of new members. A good friend of mine's mom and dad were members, and they said, hey, let's sell this property. We know that development is occurring in downtown, a lot of things going on. So Sam Gordon at Wexford purchased this property in 2016, and they are who's joint venturing with Core. This original site was pretty small. It really just, it wasn't big enough to save that sanctuary. So the thought was to go ahead and do that, tear it down. We submitted that demo permit. It was denied by the HPC. We were ready to wait the 6 months and then forward on the development project. But obviously, talking with the city, we realized that that was a bigger deal than anyone ever thought. We realized that that sanctuary building had a lot more significance than we knew. So with the purchase of the House of Tricks property in 2021, we worked for several years with the city to figure out what to do with this property. We talked about the amount of money that we would lose leaving that sanctuary there. We talked about maybe building around it, building over it, building sideways on it. There was all kinds of ideas that we talked about. But ultimately, we reached an agreement with the city and said, this is a good idea. Let's do this. Let's save that building. Let's save Harry Walker House. We had submitted a current demolition plan, but it's only for this portion in blue. So these are kind of the ancillary buildings we're talking about, some classroom buildings. There was a meeting rooms, things like that. I think there was a daycare in there over the years. And those are the portions that, when they're removed from the sanctuary building, will be replaced, fixed, and cleared up. So ultimately, we're very happy with this agreement. We're very happy with what the city's done. They've been amazing to work with. April and Mike and Jeff and Ryan and Rosa and everybody. We think it preserves the significant property rights that are there that Sam owns, and also preserves a significant property in the city. In case you haven't noticed, this is what the Harry Walker House used to look like on the top left. This is pretty much all you could see of it for 30 years. And now with kind of the cleanup of the site, that's the Harry Walker House. Cleaned up the site so we could find it, cleaned up the site so our consultant could evaluate that property and figure out how to move it. So the building alteration, this is the one about fixing the building, and basically we require a certificate of appropriateness to review the proposed work, and it says that the proposed work shall be compatible with the recognized distinctive character of the overall property. And our proposed work is repairing the South Sanctuary building facade after we take off those other outbuildings, the demolition of the classroom administrative office structures. So you can see here A and B correspond to A and B on the left. Again, these were kind of placed on the building. There's one of the stained glass windows that's sort of in the middle of that addition. Those are the portions that would be removed and then repaired. So our repair is actually the request in this case. Obviously, our architects will, through our development agreement, we're committed to doing that, keeping it exactly the way the rest of the building is. We're not going to be adding metal or any steel or anything onto that. And also, the sanctuary portion is going to be in that city park context. So it talks about the context a little bit. We're not moving it. We're not changing the context. We're not developing anything on the north or west side. And it's going to be sitting still along 6th Street. Can I get this?
Yeah,
just flip it up. I want to show you a little picture. We've got some history here. This is actually a picture of the original church on the property. This is the building that was built in the late 1800s. We're not sure. We heard that there was a fire, but what we've been told is there may have been a small fire, but the congregation in the 1950s, 53, I believe, they chose to tear this down, this historic building, and rebuild with what's there now, that smaller little building with the steeple. This is a beautiful building. It's kind of unfortunate that this ultimately ended up being torn down. But this is the 6th Street entrance you can see on there. Yeah, thanks. Kind of gives you a little history. So this is the entrance there facing 6th Street in Tempe. So that is a beautiful building. Okay, just wanted to show everybody. No one's ever seen that, so I kind of back. So the second request was the demolition and removal of those kind of outbuilding portions of it. And you can see on the bottom right, this is the city code and how it applies to this section. There's a lot of things about what you need to file. And I color-coded them for the HP commission so that they didn't have to look at all the filing requirements. So green and blue are all the filing requirements. There's some purple, there's some blue. I picked out the 2 important parts of this entire section, of the entire city code. Basically, the proposed work on any portion of a landmark or historic property shall be compatible with the recognized distinctive character. Our proposed work is the demolition of those outbuildings, preservation of the sanctuary Harry Walker House, and redevelopment of that church site. The administrative and classroom structures that we are proposing to raise were not truly contributing factors to the overall designation. When we look at the 2001 and 2000 staff reports, when this was originally designated in 2001, there's a lot of discussion about the place, where it is, what it is, the distinctiveness of that steeple. Being a landmark, people could see it. When you think about that church, what do you think about? You don't think about these outbuildings and kind of these offices and administrative. You think about the steeple, you think about the sanctuary. It also talks about that it's significant as a landmark for its presence in downtown since 1898. It's the oldest church congregation on the same site. The steeple, the original bell that was added back, that's the prominent physical feature. The sanctuary building that we're preserving is the distinctive component. The congregation itself has been there since 1898. The steeple was added in 1953. The long-standing presence of this church on that corner, even before it was torn down, it was on that corner. It was torn down, it was relocated a little bit, it was turned, the entrance went onto Myrtle. So that's the distinctive character. The ancillary structures that we're proposing to raise truly have very little historic or architectural value or significance, and we don't feel those really add to the historical significance of this entire site. So that entire site was designated as a site. It wasn't just the buildings that hold the parking lot, both parking lots, everything, the sidewalks, it was all designated as a place. So we are preserving the most distinctive portion of that place, and arguably everyone had agreed that that sanctuary is the most important historical element. And then the second criteria is that basically the proposed work that we're doing is compatible with the recognized distinctive character. So preserving the sanctuary preserves that distinctive character. We'll keep that long-standing physical feature. We will keep the steeple. That look of the building will still be there. We're repairing the sanctuary south facade. This won't negatively impact the distinctive character of that property. It will be still on the park. It will be on the cul-de-sac of 6th Street. It will be facing City Hall. It is still in that character in that area. Again, kind of the same reasons. Its presence, oldest church congregation, a visual feature on 6th Street. These are kind of the same elements. So raising the classroom and administrative office structures, preserving the sanctuary building will not negatively impact the distinctive character of the property. So again, we feel we meet both of these criteria for the second request as well. Ryan brought up a really good point when he mentioned the Monty's and also, quite honestly, the depot. Monty's tore down 3/4 of the adobe structure, and that's a precedent. That building was originally approved to be 7 feet away from the high-rise was originally approved 7 feet away from that adobe structure that was remaining. I think it ended up being approved at 20 feet, which is only 5 feet away from what we're proposing. So there's a lot of precedence here. There's a lot of context. The depot as well, there were a lot of structures removed from the depot. Again, I think there's a lot of understanding by the city to preserve property rights at the same time as balancing the historic preservation of these buildings and making it a win-win for everybody. So my girls go to a leadership academy school in Kyrene district, and they always talk about the leadership 7 habits of kids leadership, and win-win is when we talk about a lot. So we're thinking that this development agreement with the terms that we have is truly a win-win for everyone in this case. So with that, we would please request that you overturn the decision of the Historic Preservation Commission from March 12th on these 2 requests. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, the next portion of this hearing is if council members have any questions of our Historic Preservation Officer, Dr. Lechner. Any council members, any questions? Okay, hearing none. We're going to now public testimony portion of the public hearing and see if there's anyone in the audience wishing to address the city council on this item. Speakers will have up to 3 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to address the council on this item? This is a public hearing. All right, seeing none, I will close the public testimony portion of the public hearing. I will look here just to make sure I'm strictly following the process here, Mr. City Attorney. I know, Ms. Sender, you just sat down, but do you have any kind of summary statement, or are you good? Okay. I will now look to staff here, to Ryan or Jeff. Any summary statement on your end? Are you good as well? Okay, sounds good. Council members, any comments or discussion? Now would be the time. Okay. I mean, I'm happy to go. I'll try to make this very quick since we're talking not really about the Walker House this evening, but instead talking about the First Congregational Church site. The biggest thing when I was sort of considering this decision, and I have a deep amount of respect for the Historic Preservation Commission and the work that they do, and trying to make sure that our history in this community is not erased, because as we all talk about, once that history is gone or the buildings are gone, many times the history and the stories kind of tend to vanish with it. So I think that they serve a very, very critically important function in our community. The big issue, though, I see in this situation is that by the denial that they issued, it simply places a stay on demolishing the building, but it doesn't actually stop the demolition of the building, frankly, in perpetuity. It just simply would place a 1-year or 365-day additional stay on the property, and then the property could be demolished after the fact. Now, for the record, I just want to note, I've had many conversations before this became a quasi-judicial item over the last few years since I became mayor with Mr. Gordon from Wexford Developments about this property. And one of the biggest things he talked about was in the beginning, there was sort of the plan to proceed with the demolition permit, but I remember having conversations with him and talking about the historical significance of the First Congregational Church. He even showed me at one point the letter that was saying that the previous congregation was actually asking to demo the entirety of the site because they were concerned about it being reused for something that they might not like let's say a bar that they thought would sort of defame what the church was all about and maybe kind of the religious connotations connected to it. But after he and I had a few conversations about it, he said, look, I do understand that this is important to your community and to the city of Tempe, and I want to make sure that as I continue to be a long-term partner in the downtown and around the city, that we are frankly taking care of these historic structures and that I really am embedding myself in this city. And so I now understand why this is really critically important to preserve the sanctuary portion of this building. My thought, and I appreciate that, and I wish developers all sort of took that approach to ensuring that there are ways to find a creative way to build, but at the same time, making sure that, you're not destroying things that frankly have a deep, rich history for the people who've been here for a long time. The issue is, though, as an example, if, let's say, Mr. Gordon, for whatever reason, and there's no obvious, he's not planning on doing this, but if he sold the building to someone else, this building could be purchased by someone else if he decided to sell it, and that person wouldn't have any prohibitions on actually tearing down not just simply the ancillary portions of the building, but frankly, the entire site, therefore having all of that history being wiped out. And so in this situation, we have a developer and someone who's a longstanding property owner who's talking about preserving this site and only taking away the ancillary portions of the building. So I do think that's critically important, but my biggest thing here is when looking at the HPC's decision is my concern is just by the denial that they issued, and I understand what they were thinking, but from my perspective, it does not stop the demolition of these buildings at the end of the day. And so from my perspective, I will be voting to support the appeal this evening because I think that this does strike the right kind of balance of historic preservation, but also, with an opportunity to potentially move forward with a new development. But I also believe it preserves something very historic, and I want to make sure that this building lasts in perpetuity. And I think letting them move forward on this, but also that building potentially eventually being transferred over to the city means as a long-term holder of that building, we will obviously ensure that it is taken great care of, and hopefully then therefore to bring even more people to that site to learn about the very important history of the First Congregational Church while being outfitted for a present-day use that our residents and visitors alike can enjoy. So that's my point of view. Let me go to Vice Mayor Garland.
I agree with what the mayor said. I look at this as the Montes La Casa Vieja, that's what I reference it to, the Hayden House, is the same situation. We preserved the most important part of that building. And historic preservation, we always talk about how important that is. I think all of us have said that at one time or another, at least once. But how important it is to save that. And when I look at the church and the sanctuary building, I've walked down there a number of times. I watched the Historic Preservation Commission meeting, so that I could get a better understanding of what the commissioners were looking at. And then I read through all the notes, and it still comes back to, for me, is those additional ancillary buildings, if you walk by it and look at it, they don't even look like they belong together. They're very, very different. And so to me, I look at, if we are going to preserve something, I want to preserve that church. And I want us to take it over. I want us to be able to do something really incredible with it, and share the history of that, and open it up so that people can use it and can see it and can be inside of it and see those beautiful stained glass windows. So for me, I am going to be supporting the appeal, because I think it's important that we have the Historic Preservation Commission. I appreciate their vote and their discussions, but I think it's important for us to look at what we can do for that property. And I think this is appropriate for that property, to be able to keep the sanctuary and be able to remove the ancillary buildings. And you guys have to do a great job fixing that up on the side when you remove it. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Garland. Next up, I either had Councilmember Chin or Councilmember Amberg. Who was next? Councilmember Amberg, please.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. You are incredibly eloquent, and I too am going to be voting to approve the appeal. I was probably a little bit more swayed that, we went through a step-by-step process as a city, and they were originally going to demolish everything. And they, spent years negotiating with the city, and they came back and pretty much basically said, hey, we're going to give you the two buildings that are the most important really on that site. And I too, I love the Historic Preservation Committee. Everything that they do is fantastic, but their one job is to preserve. And as a city council, that's one of the priorities that we have to look at. And knowing what some of the other ones are, I'm also going to vote to approve the appeal.
Thank you, Councilmember Amberg. Councilmember Chin, then Councilmember Hodge.
Thank you, Mayor. As my colleagues have stated, there's risk. If we allow this stay to happen, there is risk to lose all of those buildings, the sanctuary, the Walker House. And I will tell you, I will admit that the sanctuary is probably one of my favorite buildings in Tempe. I've been in it many times. And that risk is too great for me. I appreciate the work of the HPC. I was recently in a city that was much older than Tempe, and I was able to look at buildings where they preserved historic buildings next to new builds successfully. I know there's a way forward so that we can coexist and have and preserve our historic buildings with new builds and growth at the same time. I think the factors, and as the mayor said, the risk of losing this incredible jewel in Tempe is what sways me. I'll be supporting the appeal as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Chin. Councilmember Hodge?
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, living my life in Tempe, and I went to prom right at Tempe Mission and went to House of Tricks for my prom dinner. I realized how important it is to preserve what we, as much of downtown Tempe as we can. And I think this way, as what my colleague has said, is the most efficient way we can do it by saving the church itself. So I am definitely supporting the appeal. So there you go. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, any further comments or questions at the moment? Okay, just want to restate here, this item is for an appeal of the HPC's decision to deny the applicant's request for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish the non-sanctuary portions of the First Congregational Church building at 101 East 6th Street and to deny the applicant's related request for a certificate of appropriateness for alterations to the First Congregational Church building. Just as a note here for those watching at home and for the council here, we've got a few options, and I'm just going to read a couple of them here. Option number one is to approve the appeal of the HPC's decision, which is to find in favor of the appellant and effectively approve the two requests. We can obviously deny the appeal of the HPC's decision and deny the two requests. The decision of the HPC can be modified by the council, or the last decision is you can remand the matter back to the HPC with direction to consider other issues that the council feels were not appropriately discussed. So with that said, those are our four options this evening. Does someone have a motion? Vice Mayor Garland.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the appeal.
And I make a second.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Vice Mayor Garland to approve the appeal of the HPC's decision, which is to find in favor of the appellant and effectively approve the two requests. That motion is made by Vice Mayor Garland and seconded by Councilmember Hodge. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, please vote.
Aye. It's coming back.
Okay, and that vote passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. All right, the next item under this section is 8A2, which is hold a public hearing on the biennial audit for development impact fees for water, wastewater, police, fire, street, and park and recreational facilities for the period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024. Also just want to note the audit report conducted by Heinfield Meach and Company PC for the period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024 was finalized and received by the city on February 26, 2025 and posted to the city's website on March 16th, 2025. There is no action required of the council to approve the audit report. The only requirement is the receipt of public comment at a hearing. So this is also a public hearing item. If there's any public testimony on this item, can people please get my attention? Once again, shocked there's no public testimony on this item, so I'll go ahead and close the public testimony portion. That being said, here, Councilmember City comments or discussion? All right, hearing none. Once again, this was a public hearing item only and no council action is required at this time. The next item under this section is 8A3, which is to authorize the city manager or designee to proceed to a formal negotiation phase with Urban Development Partners, LLC, and Palindrome to formulate an agreement for the lease and redevelopment of city-owned land consisting of approximately 6.73 acres located at the northeast corner of Dorsey Lane and Apache Boulevard and at the southwest corner of Lemon Street and Dorsey Lane, which agreement will require approval from City Council on a future agenda. It is also recommended that the Richmond Group be approved as a secondary option in the event the city is unable to negotiate an agreement with the primary team. Are there any comments from staff or council members on item 8A3? All right, I see none. Let's see, I do have a speaker card here this evening, and that card is from Philip Amorosi. Please come forward, state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Phil Amorosi, Cedar Street, Tempe. I am co-chair of the group, forgive the hat, doctor's orders, sorry. I am co-chair of the Citizens for a Vibrant Apache Corridor. And I saw this item on the agenda, and since it directly affects me and our neighborhoods, I just wanted to come down and thank the city staff and the council for continuing to be aggressive on getting affordable housing here in Tempe. These are trying times, and our neighborhoods have been patiently waiting for 3 years for something to replace our good old food city. So by combining affordable housing with groceries, that's a win-win situation. And it's refreshing to see something come in that's not student housing. So I just want to thank you for helping working class families here in Tempe.
Thank you, Mr. Amorosi. Appreciate it. This is also a public hearing item. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council on item 8A3? If so, please get my attention.
Mr. Mayor,
All right,
I just want to know
yes.
what's on Phil's hat. Was it
What's the emblem on Phil's hat?
Yes, is it a tiger or? It's a tortoise. A tortoise, okay, thank you.
All right, that question has been answered. It's a tortoise on Mr. Amorosi's hat. Council members, any comments or discussion on item 8A3? Okay, seeing none, I will look for a motion on item 8A3. Moved by Vice Mayor Garland, seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A4, which is to approve a one-year contract renewal with Cigna Dental Health Plan of Arizona Incorporated to provide a dental preferred provider organization plan and a dental health maintenance organization plan for eligible city employees and their dependents. Council members, any comments or discussion?
Motion to approve.
It's been moved by Councilmember Adams and seconded by Councilmember Hodge. Please vote. Oh, God. The screen is not up yet. Or is it?
We're too fast for you.
There we go. All right, screen's up. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item is 8A5, which is to approve the utilization of a 5-year State of Arizona cooperative contract with Oracle Corporation for software support and licensing for the city's new cloud-based utility billing application. Council members, any comments or questions?
Motion to approve.
It's been moved by Councilmember Adams and seconded by Councilmember Hodge. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A6, which is to approve an increase to a 2-year contract with Enterprise Solutions Consulting LLC for implementation services of the city's new cloud-based utility billing application software. Council members, any comments or discussion?
Motion to approve.
It's been moved by Councilmember Adams.
Second.
Seconded, I would think, by Councilmember Hodge by a hair. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A7, which is to approve a 2-year contract renewal with RESA Power for maintenance and repair services of medium to high voltage switchgear and generators. Council members, any comments or discussion?
Motion to approve.
It's been moved by Councilmember Adams and seconded by Councilmember Chin. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A8, which is to approve a 1-year contract renewal with Reliant Gases LTD for the purchase of refrigerated liquid carbon dioxide for the Public Works Department. Council members, any comments or discussion?
I love Public Works, and I'll make a motion to approve.
Well, actually, it's been moved by Councilmember Amberg. She got there right under the wire, but seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please vote.
Rats.
And that item also passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A9, which is to approve a 2-year contract renewal with Arcadis US Incorporated, EN Global Government Services Incorporated, and West Yost and Associates Incorporated to provide program management and implementation services to operationalize the city's supervisory control and data acquisition master plan. Council members, any comments or discussion?
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilmember Hodge.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A10, which is to award a construction contract to Champion Cleaning Specialties Incorporated for project number 3221024, wastewater collection system rehabilitation 2024 at various locations. Council members, any comments or discussion?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Councilmember Adams. Seconded by Councilmember Amberg. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A11, which is to award a professional services contract to Dibble & Associates Consulting Engineers Incorporated for project number 5499742M, pavement quality index acceleration at various locations.
Motion to approve. I love pavement management.
Hey, gotta love that pavement. Motion to approve by Councilmember Adams, seconded by Councilmember Hodge. Please vote. And that item also passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A12, which is to award a professional services contract to Intellis Incorporated for project number 5499742M, pavement quality index acceleration at various locations.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Councilmember Adams. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Chin. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A13, which is award a professional services contract to Sunrise Engineering for project number 5499742M, pavement quality index acceleration at various locations.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Councilmember Adams. Second. Seconded by Councilmember Hodge. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A14, which is to adopt a resolution approving a revised property tax stabilization policy. Council members, any comments or discussion? It's been moved by Councilmember Chin, seconded by Councilmember Amberg. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A15, which is to adopt a resolution providing for the sale and issuance of City of Tempe, Arizona general obligation bonds, Series 2025A, and general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2025B, authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents, providing for the annual levy of a tax for the payment of the bonds, delegating the authority to approve certain related matters, and authorizing and ratifying related actions, agreements, and documents. Council members, any comments or discussion? Moved by Councilmember Hodge, seconded by Councilmember Amberg. Please vote. That item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The last item under the section is 8A16, which is to adopt a resolution authorizing and providing for the issuance and sale of City of Tempe, Arizona solid waste excise tax revenue obligations, Series 2025, delegating the authority to approve certain related matters, and authorizing the taking of all other necessary actions contemplated by this resolution. Council members, any comments or discussion?
Motion to approve.
It's been moved by Councilmember Adams and seconded by Councilmember Chin. Please vote. And that item is approved 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The next section on the non-consent agenda is ordinances and items for introduction and first hearing. The items under the section will be read and introduced tonight, but no substantive votes will be taken. The second hearings and votes are scheduled for May 1st, 2025. The first item under this section is 8B1, which is introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance amending the Tempe City Code Chapter 2 by adding a new Article 1A, exclusions and criminal trespass, public places. Any comments from staff or council on item 8B1? All right, hearing none, this is also a public hearing item. If there's any public testimony on this item, please get my attention. Seeing none, I'll close the public testimony portion of the public hearing. Council members, any further comments or discussion? All right, hearing none, the second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for May 1st, 2025. The next item under the section is 8B2, which is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance amending the Tempe City Code Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2-2, related to city manager's authority to execute certain contracts, licenses, grants, leases, and memoranda of understanding. Council, any comments on this item or any comments from city staff on 8B2? Seeing none, this is also a public hearing item, so if there's any public testimony on item 8B2 from anyone in the audience, please get my attention at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public testimony. public hearing. Council members, any last comments or discussion? Hearing none, the second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for May 1st, 2025. The last item under this section is 8B3, which is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance amending the Tempe City Code, Chapter 21, relating to nuisances and property enhancement, and amending Chapter 5, Article 3 and Appendix A, related to nuisance parties and unlawful gatherings. Any comments from city staff or council members on item 8B3? Vice Mayor Garland.
I just want to read some information about this ordinance, and again, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who's taken part in this. Improving our neighborhood safety and enhancing the quality of life for our community is a priority for this council. We listen to residents so many times that have written to us and asked us to find out what we could do about chronic, loud parties and illegal activity next door to them. With this perspective in mind, I formed a committee to review our nuisance ordinance and loud party ordinance. The committee included Mayor Woods, Councilmember Chin, our police department, Tempe Fire Medical Rescue, Code Compliance, Neighborhood Services, the city attorney, and several residents joined us as stakeholders in this area. We also had extensive public outreach, including meetings with representatives from landlord groups and from an outside union representatives. The amendments that we are bringing forth, that we're going to be putting before the council for a vote on May 1st, is to protect our neighborhoods. That's what the idea with this was, how this came about. It introduces several critical improvements aimed at reducing the burden of excessive calls for service on PD, Tempe Fire Medical Rescue, while holding habitual violators accountable. These changes ensure enhanced public safety, streamline enforcement, and improve property management practices. And passing these amendments will give us the tools to hold tenants and property owners responsible for community impact properties that disrupt our neighborhoods. These updates eliminate the 90-day clean slate loophole and extends it to 365 days to penalize habitual offenders. It doubles the fines from $500 to $1,000 and can go all the way up to $4,000 with the right to appeal to the city court. It protects those who might be victims of a crime or who need emergency medical services. It is time for our tenants and landlords to take responsibility for repeated issues that happen within our neighborhoods. And I will also say that I don't hold our landlords as bad guys, or I don't look at them all as bad guys. I look at them as potential partners in helping us keep our neighborhoods safe and great places to live and to raise our families. And I found a Chinese proverb today that seemed to fit this really well. It says, "A good neighbor is a priceless treasure." So I hope that we can all strive to be good neighbors. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Appreciate it. All right. Really quickly, though, Mr. City Attorney, I just want to go back. I know there was no who came forward for the public testimony portion, but is Trey Rook here this evening? This was one of the cards I received. Is Mr. Rook here? Okay, just wanted to make sure since I had this, whatever, but no one came forward during the public testimony portion. Any further comments or discussion on item 8B3 from council? All right, seeing none, the second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for May 1st, 2025. The last section on the non-consent agenda is ordinances and items scheduled for second hearing and final adoption, so votes on these items will be taken tonight. The first item under the section is 8C1, which is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance to transfer a portion of the Capital Improvement Program project number 6711559, citywide communication tower and monopole relocation and replacement to provide sufficient funding to incorporate the building of one monopole into project number 6711269, Tempe Municipal Operations Center Phase 2. This is also a public hearing item. If there's any public testimony on this item, please get my attention now. All right, seeing none, I'll close the public testimony portion of the public hearing. Council members, any comments or discussion? It's been moved by Councilmember Hodge, seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. The last item under the section is 8C2, which is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance authorizing the granting of a power distribution easement to Salt River Project Agricultural Improvement and Power District over certain city-owned land located at 2060 West Rio Salado Parkway, and authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an easement agreement and related documents. This is also a public hearing item. If there's any public testimony on this item, please get my attention now. All right, seeing none, I'll close the public testimony portion of the public hearing. Council members, any comments or discussion? All right, it's been moved by Councilmember Hodge. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember. Please vote. And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Keating absent. That brings me to item 9, current events, council announcements, and future agenda items. Just as a note here, council members may request that an agenda item be added to a future council meeting during their allotted time, but in accordance with the open meeting law, there should be no discussion on the item other than to clarify the request. So I'm now going to call upon council members for their comments and or requests to add an item to a future council meeting, and I'm going to start this evening with Vice Mayor Garland.
All right. Do I have a slide? Oh, it is up. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong thing. We were able to attend the 2025 Mayor's All Ability Awards. And so I just wanted to announce the winners. So outstanding high school student is Sarah Toon, Leanne Pan. Exceptional educator is Fuller Elementary School Special Needs Team, and they had a whole entire huge group up there. Sarah Silverman and Dr. Charlie Caprole. I got that right, Mayor? Pride of the City is Venetia's Pizza, and we all talked about that when they announced this the other night. We were all starving and our stomachs were growling. The Tim Bolin Disability Award of Merit. Tim Bolin actually got this award before he found out that they were actually changing the name of the award to his name. And it was a very special moment. And I think we have another couple slides that go with these also. So here are some of the award winners. Dr. Krista Purito and Lifetime Fitness were also winners. And I think there's a couple more pictures. It was a really wonderful event. And if you haven't attended this event in the past, you really should go because it was incredible. And then we list our Commission on Disability Concerns, and that is our chair and co-chair and their commission. So thank you so much for everybody who attended. Thank you for the people who turned in their nomination forms. And hopefully next year we will get more nomination forms and we can celebrate more people next year. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Garland. Next up, Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been working on this issue for almost 7 years, so I'm super excited to make this announcement tonight. Thanks to our constituents, escape me for a second, for your support on the ballot box measure that passed improvements for our streets. It's a big deal, and we couldn't have done it without you. So thank you to all the constituents out there that voted for it. And our list that we're going to have is Cavalier Hills, Maryland Ann, Circle G Ranch, along with major roads including Curry, Rural, Washington, and Apache. So stay tuned as we pave other smoother streets. And also Elliott is in bad shape, and we are going to move it up on the payment schedule because there's so many huge potholes on it. So I'm just really excited to have this happen. I can't tell you how many times when I knock on doors that people bring up the streets, like almost every time. So this is great. We're moving in a positive direction. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. That is the conclusion of my announcements.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Next up, Councilmember Chin.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one tonight. Big thank you to Tempe PD and Chief Ken McCoy for bringing back the Citizens Academy, which does not mean you can make a citizen's arrest for anyone who used to watch Andy Taylor. This is a great 9-week program. This academy opens beginning July 23rd. You can meet officers, hear their stories, learn about investigations, patrol operations, traffic enforcement, and explore specialized units such as the K-9 unit, the SWAT unit, and the mounted unit. Registration begins, it closes on May 16th. So visit tempe.gov/police and learn more and apply.
Thank you, Councilmember Chin. Next up, Councilmember Hodge.
Thank you. Join me with Breakfast with Burdetta. Will be on Saturday, April 26th from 11 to 2, and I'm partnered with the East Valley NAACP. We have a health-related vendors are going to be there. We have a panel discussion with qualified doctors. We're going to have a health fair that we're going to be able to donate blood, and also you get a health screen at the same time. So, and that's going to be at the North Multi-Center General on the 26th. And also, I missed the neighborhood awards, and I was very sad, but I was actually at the National School Board Association annual conference. And the reason why I bring that up in here is because it was very important, because we actually, as a city, was asked to speak, because they have noticed that our city, the city of Tempe, and our school districts have so many different partnerships that is being recognized throughout the country on the things that we are doing. So I got a chance to talk about our real time, how we were one of the first ones, you know, to actually have it encompassed with our school district. We also could talk about our pre-K program that we're doing, all of our other programs that we're doing with our youth specialists, and just about everything that the city of Tempe embodies when it comes down to our education, and how we are just great partnerships to our school district. So thank you so much for all that we do as a city, each and every one of you guys. And I also just want to wish everybody a happy Easter, and I'm excited for it, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hodge. Next up, Councilmember Amberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, State of Downtown Tempe Awards. They are going to be held on April the 15th from 4 to 6 p.m. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the place that it's going to be at is still to be determined, but they kind of gave us a hint, and it's going to be incredibly cool, so you really want to go. The tickets are going to be on sale soon, so there's going to be plenty of food and drink, so buy them at downtowntempe.com. I had the honor of being on their nominating committee with Council Members Hodge and the Director of Economic Development here in Tempe, Mike D. Domenico. The theme is Paving the Way this year, which is kind of a homage to the development that's going on Mill Avenue, and it's going to highlight, they're basically highlighting the growth around the city of Tempe. So if you are free on April the 15th, join us there. My second one, this is the second time I've done this, and hope this will be the last because Easter is next week. The Kiwanis Club of Tempe, who came out this evening, and gave us that big check. They are doing their annual Easter egg scramble next Saturday, April the 19th, starting at 8. Includes face painting, games, arts, crafts, and of course the Easter egg hunt. You will be able to take pictures with the Easter Bunny, who will not be the mayor this year, unfortunately, because he's not going to be here. I know, everybody's sad. The event's free, so unless you want to participate, the pancake breakfast, that's actually at 8 o'clock, that's $5. It's going to be held at the Tempe Kiwanis Park on the north soccer field, so that's off of Baseline Road. So hopefully we will be able to see all of the kids there. It'd be great if all of the kids that were here earlier for Kids Zone would be able to go. So thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. I don't have any announcements this evening, which will bring me to item number 10, public appearances. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council? And if so, please come forward and state your name and city of residence for the record. All right, seeing none. Oh, sure, Councilmember Adams.
I know Council Member Hodge already said Happy Easter, but I want to say Happy Easter too. So I'll have a good Easter, everyone.
All right, sounds good. Going back, is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council under item number 10, public appearances? All right, seeing none, I will close that portion of the meeting, which brings me to item number 11, which is adjournment. The next regular scheduled city council meeting will be on May 1st, 2025. We are adjourned at 7:57 p.m. Have a great night.